Welcome to Copytraders Club, where you can learn how to make more money copy trading. I'm Gavin Macaulay, my name and username on eToro. You can continue the conversation on Discord and Facebook. If you like this podcast and want to see it continue, you can do your part by recommending it to one person or group of people this week. Today is a chat with a copy trader and one who has been on the platform since 2017, a lifetime in eToro years. What has he learned? What mistakes has he made? Has he mastered the art? Let's find out. Here we go. Episode 28 of Copytraders Club, and today we're talking to Robert Rubeko, who is a Finnish guy who started two YouTube channels, Tips with Punch and Sidestream, both of which have eToro related videos and cover his years of copy trading. So he is the longest serving copy trader to have visited us here at the palatial Copytraders Clubhouse. Here he comes now. My Finnish language skills are not as good as they once were. Robert, hei! Tervetuloa Copytraders Clubiin.
Moikka moikka, Gavin.
Well, Robert, it's great to have you here at the Copytraders Clubhouse.
Thanks, I'm really excited to be here as well.
Well, I don't know if you've listened to many previous episodes, but the routine is a series of quickfire questions must be answered in order to clear reception and get through to the Copytraders Lounge. So, are you ready for those?
Yeah, ready.
Username on eToro.
RobRob22.
Date you joined eToro.
Somewhere in June 2017.
Year of birth.
86.
Place of residence.
Right now in Netherlands.
Profession.
CRO specialist.
Briefly state what you aim to achieve on eToro.
Just passive growth, at least maybe 10% yearly.
Name one of your investing heroes.
Tim Ferriss.
Name one of your favorite investing books.
Richest Man in Babylon.
That completes the formalities. Let's now proceed into our VIP section here at the Clubhouse. Robert, it's your turn to enter the splendid Copytraders Lounge. So, Robert, from the YouTube channel Sidestreams, aka RobRob22, are you ready for this magical transition?
I'm ready.
So, Robert Rubeko, here we are now in the Copytraders Lounge. Pretty splendid surroundings, eh?
Yeah, very beautiful, yes. Professional.
Are you accustomed to such sumptuous surroundings back home in Finland, where you're from?
Well, we have a lot of forest, but not like this.
Well, we don't have any outdoor jacuzzis here to jump into after our roll in the snow, but
Yeah, we should.
So, what part of Finland are you from? Are you from capital?
Yeah, Helsinki.
And you're currently living in...
Amsterdam in Netherlands, yeah.
And how long have you been there?
I moved there like 10, 11 years ago. First came to study, but then I stayed for work. And I've been really happy here, so that's why I've stayed longer.
Yeah, it's an amazing place, Amsterdam. Are you right in the city itself?
I am very close to the center, yeah. Yeah, I live quite close.
So you go for walks along the canals of an evening?
Yeah, no, not that much anymore. It's more parks. If we go for walks, we take the parks. But yeah, if I need to go anywhere, I usually bike 15, 20 minutes and you're basically anywhere in the city. So it's really convenient.
Gotta love Amsterdam. And you are a computer guy. To explain your job again in a bit more detail.
So I'm a CRO specialist, and basically what I do is I try to improve the websites for the users to have a better experience. And through that, if people have a better experience, they are also happier with the website and they might buy more. So obviously, if, as a business, we want to sell more, but my primary sort of function is to make them more happy.
And that's what your two YouTube channels are all about. Specifically, there's two. There's Tips with Punch and Side Streams.
Exactly.
And tell us about Tips with Punch.
Yeah, Tips with Punch. I started maybe 4 years ago, and it was primarily WordPress tutorials and just website-related tutorials. I've now moved on to more digital marketing tutorials as well, like email and stuff like that. And then I have a second channel where I cover mostly eToro and investing and just having a side stream income. Right now, it's much smaller, the account, and also I have less time for it. But I think that's how you found me, either through the side stream account or the older Tips with Punch, where I posted a couple eToro videos. And I think that's how you've discovered me at some point.
That's right. And your videos, unlike many, often do hit the mark when it comes to humor with your cutaways. You do lots of little cutaways to different movies. And you're the second guest we've had here who's something of an Arnold Schwarzenegger fan.
I guess we're just in that age group that when we were growing up, he was a big sort of movie hero for me. Yeah, I think he's hilarious in his own way. Obviously, you have to take it lightly. But yeah, I'm a big fan.
Your videos are very, very funny.
Thanks.
I do find myself laughing out loud quite often. And somebody mentioned that to me recently about this podcast. They were saying it's nice to mix a bit of humor into this sort of area of endeavor because it's normally so serious, and a little bit of levity goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. If you can surprise people without distracting, then my job is done. I think a lot of tutorials are a bit dry. So if you can spice it up, that's great. Obviously, after doing 3-4 years of videos, the movie clips start to be a bit boring to me. So that's, I think, challenging. So I would like to change it up, but I haven't figured out how yet. So I'm sticking to what I know.
Well, what you know seems to be Arnie movies and some really obscure Indian-looking movies with very grainy images, which come as a total surprise to the viewer.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I find them on YouTube. I'm not a specialist on the Indian or Bollywood movies or Nollywood movies or anything like that. I just try to search the internet for funny clips.
I asked the previous guest, who was an Arnie fan, what his favorite movie is. So what's yours?
I think True Lies. At least that's the first one that came to my mind. And also, I think he has a lot of kind of, they're not on purpose funny, but they're just funny in a way that they're so over the top, the movies. But I like a lot from them. Obviously, Terminator is just a good movie, but sort of True Lies, that's something that stayed with me. Yeah, I also love the movie where he is the Russian guy, can't remember the name, but basically he's the USSR cop.
And he speaks with a Russian accent?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the funny part where he speaks with a Russian accent.
I actually thought you might be Russian when I first watched your videos.
I was born in Russia, yeah. So I grew up in Finland.
Ah, wow.
Yeah, good guess.
Ah, I'm a genius linguist.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's time for a question from the art of people. Can you pick a number between 1 and 10?
5.
What's the most exciting thing in your personal life right now?
Right now, I'm really excited about the YouTube and just working to grow it, have a bit of side income as well. And I think that's where my time goes after work. That's definitely the most exciting thing.
Okay, let's talk about your copy trading experience then, Robert.
All right.
Based on the 3 videos on the Tips with Punch channel, I think that's a good way to structure it. So the first eToro video on that channel came out in 2017, entitled eToro Review 2017 After 6 Months, Social Trading Profits. I'll leave links to all of these in the show notes. Okay, so in that video, you're 6 months in. This is way back. You're a pretty early stage copier. 27.
Yeah, definitely was experimenting at that point.
And you had 3 PIs. Let me explain who they were. Trex 8U247, who's a South African PI named Dale Rex Doost, who's been on eToro since 2013. And he's still around, but these days he appears to be a bit of a low risk, low return kind of guy. There's Alex Plesk, a Russian guy who now has 0 copiers and cannot be copied because he's very high risk. 8, 9, and sometimes 10. And he appears to just be having a laugh. And then there's a guy called J Nemesis. Not sure what became of him. Why don't you tell us about the early stages and how you picked those 3 guys initially, and what was it like signing up for eToro back then?
To be honest, I don't remember that specifically. I just remember one of my colleagues. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm investing and I'm using this platform called eToro. Really happy with them. I have my whatever at that time, maybe 10,000 in it." I was like, "All right, well, I'm interested in investing. I want to find a platform that I can rely on." And yeah, I gave it a try. And since it has this copy trading functionality, I think that the colleague actually mentioned it. So then I dove into it. Don't remember why I chose these guys. Probably they were at that time in the sort of up and coming or whatever. But they worked quite well for me in the beginning. And as you mentioned, Alex Plesk, he was actually good for a long time. He was profitable for a long time. So, but how I chose them, I just don't remember anymore. I think the video itself will describe better than I can recall right now.
And you say you were interested in investing. Were you investing individually back then as well on your own behalf?
Yes, I have an account also with it's a Dutch company. It's Links.
And what sort of an investor would you describe yourself as, so that we can understand how that applies to your copy trading or not?
I am very low risk. So for me, it's more of a learning to preserve wealth. Although right now I don't have that much in eToro, but just in general, I want to learn to preserve it and grow it steadily, but nothing crazy. So this is not the way for me to retire early or anything like that. This is more of a to learn. So then when I have a bit more money, then I know how to apply some rules so that I can steadily just grow and stay ahead of inflation and just maintain that wealth.
Okay, so after the first video featuring those 3 guys, let's move on to your next video. After 14 months, which is a very positive video, you're beating the S&P in that same period. You got those same PIs, and that guy Alex was the strongest one at that stage.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, okay, well, it's been a year since the first video did quite well at that time. I thought, all right, I'm going to make another one. And yeah, it just was a good year for me, especially compared to S&P 500. Now, I'm sure there are traders that made much more than I did. I think it was maybe around 18% or something like that. So, I mean, for me, that is a good result.
Sure. And you say your videos were getting lots of views. They were popular, but not as popular as your third in the series, which has over 95,000 views. Is that your most popular video ever?
No. My channel I have more popular, but for eToro, it is the most popular. I have one video on side streams that probably will get there, but it'll take some time. But for some reason, this one, maybe it was a bit more dramatic title or the thumbnail worked better, but it's been good.
There's an expression in some language or other that the tongue always seeks out the sore tooth. People are attracted to the pain. And the title of that video that you're talking about is eToro Review 2019, Profits After 2 Years of Copy Trading. I lost 88% of the accumulated profits. People want to see those stories, don't they? The anguished face. I think I think your thumbnail is you screaming to the heavens,
Exactly.
So this was with the same three investors the whole time, right? By this point?
I think there was some change there, small change. I think I either added one or I dropped one. I think there was some changes to it, but mostly it was the same ones.
Okay, and in that video, you're lamenting that you would have been better off buying the S&P. Now, you say you'd been very passive and also greedy, which is a strange combination. You weren't balanced with risk-averse PIs, was your conclusion. But of course, a lot of it was to do with 2018 being such a down year and very bad for cryptos.
Yeah, definitely. So cryptos, since I also had J Nemesis at that time, he was still in cryptos, I think. So yeah, it was just a bad year. I've tried cryptos, but I'm not that good at it. So it's a very, very small portion of my portfolio right now, just to try out. My friend is advocating for it. He's really into it. He's always like, yeah, you have to buy. But I've missed all the waves. So I'm definitely, if I get into crypto, then you need to get out of it. So I'm one of those people. But with the what I had in this video, yeah, it was could have been better year. And sometimes when I say greedy, I go for the bigger wins, whereas I should be looking for guys that are maybe more stable. They've had multiple or maybe even the whole year in the green, even if it's smaller. I think that would be better for me. But yeah, sometimes I get greedy.
So let's look at now what the latest situation is. 2019, you had a 23% return. 2020, you had a 33% return. So it's looking okay, pretty good. Lower than the indexes. Well, at least lower than the S&P in 2019, slightly. You beat the S&P in 2020. And now 2021 so far has been a poor showing, hasn't it?
Yeah, hasn't gone well. I've struggled a little bit, actually quite long already, to find a good strategy in terms of when do I set the copy stop loss. So, for example, I was copying until maybe half a year ago, still J Nemesis, but then I guess I set the stop loss too low, so it was maybe 5-6%, which was a mistake, especially with a guy like him because he does deliver through the year. He does deliver, and now I can't copy him anymore because obviously he's full. But so I'm still struggling a little bit finding that balance between where should I limit my risk, but also give the traders a bit room to sort of go through the bad times. And another thing that I did in 2021, I also bought Tesla stock, and again in that one, the stop loss kind of got me. So I set it too low, so it went down, but then it's now higher than what I bought it for. So I kind of lost on that.
Yeah, that's the problem with stop losses. I'm not a big fan.
Do you set anything for yourself? Like, what's your strategy for it?
I try not to use them where possible. I mean, I set them to the max or to the minimum, which depending which way you look at it.
Yeah.
Just to, not lock in losses. Just go with it, go with the waves. So you're at -4 so far this season, which isn't too pretty.
No. Especially when the S&P 500 has grown, I don't know how much.
So I'm just going to run down the list of your PIs as of today, and you can tell us, have these guys all been here for a long time or what? Here they are. Mayoshi, 18%. Beat the Markets, 13%. Eddie B, 13%. CPH Equities, 13%. Pinot 428, 11%. KH Bardales, 11%. Haukro, 11%. And Olivier Donvel, 6%. So what do we have there? We have 3 black stars, 2 green, 3 red. Who's your longest serving PI. It's all changed. You'll note, listener, it's all changed from the previous lineup.
So Olivier has been longer with me, and Miyoshi, maybe closer to a year. And the rest are more recent, maybe 7 months ago, 6 months ago. I just did overhaul. I wanted to try something new, give a chance to other PIs as well. So far, slow. There's no like big winners except maybe Miyoshi and CP Equities. I have no idea how to say.
CPH Equities.
Oh yeah, okay. You see it that way, of course. So those two have been all right, but the rest are a bit slow. So I hope they will pick up.
Yeah, there's a few names that you don't see very often in there, mixed with very high-profile ones, I guess.
Yeah. So when I selected these, I was trying to balance out what they invest in. So I was trying to get some people that are invest in Asia, maybe some in US stocks, or most of them have some US stocks. Some, like Olivier, is in obviously in the Forex. And then you have some guys maybe that are also buying like commodities. So I try to balance it that way. But let's see if that works. Maybe it's too balanced and the profits are very low.
Well, your approach has evolved a bit from previous. You weren't worried about diversifying in that way initially, right?
No. So I'm trying out something new.
All right, so you've mentioned the reasons for choosing these guys in terms of their asset classes and trying to create a diversified portfolio of your own. What other decisions go into your choices for selecting PIs?
For me, I try to look that they have had mostly green months for a year or so. Some of them are a bit newer, so maybe 10 months. But for me, it's just important that they have been consistent through a certain time period, or at least that if there's big wins and big losses, that it hasn't been because of cryptos, because with those, you never know. So I think that's about it. I mean, I don't dive into PI so much. I do checks, but it's nothing. It's not a big process for me. It's also, I'm trying to make this as passive as possible. So I spend few hours to pick the ones I like at that moment, and then at some point, if I'm unhappy, I'll just redo them.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. There's many different approaches copiers can have, and you say passive. I'm of the opinion that copy trading isn't really passive investing. I think it exists in the space between active and passive. It has passive elements to it, and it can be passive, but only in specific circumstances. Mostly it's a case of it's kind of semi-passive. They're doing the investing, but you've got to keep your eye on it and make sure they behave themselves and, they don't change their strategies and they don't add funds to try and mask bad months and things like that. So yeah, I don't think it's particularly passive. I thought it was initially, but the more I'm learning about it, the more I'm thinking, wow, you do have to manage your guys and gals.
No, definitely. I mean, but then again, there's not many truly passive income sources, unless you, I don't know, buy bonds and that's it. You don't do anything with them for 30 years. But you always have to, if you have tenants, if you have a real estate, you always have to do something for it. You need to take care of the building or of the apartment. So I think this gets as close to passive as I can at this moment.
Okay. And how about PI communication? Is that important to you? Do you want updates from these guys on YouTube? Are you reading their feeds?
No, honestly.
Are you on their Discords, anything like that?
No, I don't follow. So no, only while I research, I might check their feeds, what they've been doing up to. Other than that, I rarely check the feed. Maybe I should check it more often so I would know a bit more. But honestly, I don't do it.
Interesting. I mean, who knows what the best approach is? That's why I like talking to different copy traders to see how they view all these different elements and what's important to them and what's not. Because I sort of, in my own head, I assume everyone thinks the same things. Clearly, that's not always the case at all.
No, and also I think they have different goals here. So some really want to make money. So somebody like Olivier, I think one of your previous guests also mentioned that why do they even complain that he has low yields when you know he's been like that? That's his strategy. So I think it's everybody has their own way to perform on eToro, and I think for me this is really just trying out how PIs do. I have another platform where I buy individual stocks and keep them for a long time. But other than that, for me, it's really as passive as I can keep it. And maybe that's also the reason I don't have higher profits, because obviously if I would keep up with this, I wouldn't have to set stop losses, and then I might have better results. But right now, it's just not something I want.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, my view would be that people should have to maintain a level of updated knowledge all along the way and listen to Copytraders Club and things like that.
Exactly.
Make sure they're not missing out on any of this information.
No, I think that would be a better strategy for sure. But then it takes more time from something else that I can be doing. So
sure,
it's all about where can I maximize my effort and make profits out of that.
Yeah, that's where I think having a communicative PI can come in handy, because you can just watch a YouTube video once a month and get a portfolio update from them, forget about it, as opposed to having to go in and think, oh God, I have to go and read through the feeds and find out what this guy's done.
Yeah. I guess some of them, those that are the black stars, or I guess they do that, most of them, right? Or
well, some of them do. Some of them do.
Not all.
No.
All right.
But I think it's going to become more and more important in the future as eToro grows and Copytraders' expectations become greater. Is part of the reason you don't want to spend too much time on eToro because it's only a small proportion of your invested amount?
Yeah, definitely. So all the money I have in eToro, I can lose it. I don't want it, but if I lose, I'm not gonna lose my house or something. So for me, this is really more experimental way to get involved and see how others do things. But as you can see, I don't even research as much. So for now, it's just a fun thing that I enjoy doing and seeing how these guys are performing. Hopefully, in the future, I'll have more time to actually investigate companies, PIs, and invest with a bit more care, I would say. Because I do agree with you, like you said before, that it would be better that people take the time to look how their PIs are doing, what are they investing in, and why do they have a couple that are minus 40 or whatever. So you do need to sort of keep an eye on that. Right now, I just don't have the time to do it.
Sure. So although you're a long-term copy trader, you're not exactly an obsessive one.
No. There are months that I don't even check eToro. So definitely not. I'm taking it easy, and that's the way I want it. I don't want to. When I bought some cryptos, I was checking my phone all the time because obviously it can swing at any moment. So that was just causing me more stress, and I just don't like that. I want to keep it a bit more tranquilo in that way.
Hope you're enjoying today's show. I'm sure you've subscribed already. If you are a successful copy trader, happy to share what you've learned, there's no need to have a public profile. Get in touch. The bigger the club, the better for you. So tell people on eToro about this show. Ask your PIs to come on. That way you will get to know them better. We build this club together. So Robert, what would you say are the biggest mistakes you've made copy trading?
So for me right now, it's been the stop losses. So I haven't managed them well. I've had 5% stop loss at some point. That was my strategy. So, but it was way too low. I hit myself too many times so that, I don't know, Tesla stock was, I bought it, then it had a bump, went down by 10%, but then in a couple of weeks, it rose back by 20%. So definitely the biggest one is adjusting that strategy for stop losses. And yeah, I just think that I need to find a better way, and definitely not 5% anymore, but lower it to 10, 15, 20. I don't know. I need to find that nice balance, but that's why I'm on eToro, so I can experiment also with things without the fear.
That happened on eToro,
Yeah. The stop loss has happened on eToro. Yeah.
and that only with individual positions that you had bought, or also with PIs?
Both. So I've had with Tesla stock and also with J Nemesis and I think one more other PI. So definitely it has happened multiple times, and I haven't learned yet. So no, I hope now I've learned my lesson. But
So are your stop losses set to a more generous amount now?
yeah, they're now 10, 15%, and on some maybe nothing. It really depends.
So that's the stop losses. What else do you think?
For me, in the beginning, I lost some money on going into trades, especially stocks or cryptos, without really knowing why. So basically, I bought a stock just because, I mean, it sounds cool. They're doing well. I like what they're doing. And so it's definitely not researching it properly, and also not researching at what stage of sort of a, has it grown for a certain reason, or is it overvalued and things like that. So basically getting into things without really considering the why behind it.
Would you say you've made that same mistake with PIs too?
With PIs, I think it's a bit harder to make that mistake. I mean, you could, but you can quickly see if they're doing wrong, and the losses are usually not so big as with individual stocks or cryptos. So it's harder to say, probably, but I think with PIs, at least they also have more balanced portfolio. So then it's harder to say if they actually done it wrong or not.
Have you anything else to add to that question about mistakes you've made while copy trading?
No, I think those are the two biggest ones that I wouldn't want to.
One of the most common mistakes, it seems, for copy traders is not copying for a long enough time, jumping in and jumping out, jumping in, and as soon as you copy, you're down a bit because of the way it works. And then maybe they just about recover from that. And then if there's any sniff of another red month in the first couple of months, they're gone and on to the next guy, which is, as Robert Merck would say, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Are you pretty good at sticking the course? I mean, you've been on eToro since 2017. So how much of a long-term copier are you with any given PI?
I would say I'm long term. Like I do give time, so I don't think I've switched anybody within first 6 months, unless they've done really horribly. But I don't recall. I do give them time, and I know it takes time for them to, yeah. Because I also, when I copy them, I don't usually copy all the trades because I don't wanna. I wanna. I wanna join when they have those fresh ideas, when they wanna invest in something new, and I don't wanna be part of whatever happened, because obviously some stocks went up, and if they're in the green, then I'm buying on the high potentially, and then yeah, I just try to avoid that. So it takes a bit of time to ramp up and then buying new stocks. So that's how I've tried. But maybe you have some more experience with this, Gavin. Like, how do you treat when you copy a PI? Do you actually copy their trades, active trades?
Yeah, well, I don't have any more experience than you. I've only been on the platform since the end of November last year, so I'm a noob. I always copy open trades.
You do.
Yeah, and I make sure I'm choosing PIs where that's not too bad an idea. And because I know I'm going to be with them a long time, I'm more comfortable making that decision. If I was to be not copying open trades, I'd be looking for PIs that are trading very frequently, finding new positions, a lot. Was that part of your process to make sure that they used up your funds? Or do you know, even when you copied someone, did you monitor how long it took for them to allocate all your funds?
No, I don't know how long. I did pick those that have more assets, so they do change them. But no, how long it will take, I don't know. No, that's why I also was wondering at some point. I was like, should I copy the trades that are active or not? And for these guys that I have now, I think most of them are that they are. I didn't copy, and I don't know if that was a good choice or not. So that's also interesting. If have you talked about this topic with some other your guests?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've talked to any other copiers that are very keen to avoid copying open trades.
Yeah.
I understand the theory behind it, but most PIs recommend just copy open trades. The sooner you do, and if you stick with me long term, we'll be in sync soon enough. It's not that much of an issue. And as long as when I look through their columns of invested and value, and I don't see huge discrepancies prior to copying them, I can live with it.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
Because actually, I don't obsess too much about synchronization because you're never really in sync, There's a million reasons why you'll be slightly out of sync.
Yeah.
As long as the desync doesn't get out of hand, I'm fine with it.
Makes sense. I think I'll have to, next time I'm copying somebody, I have to look into it in more detail as well. So it was a good insight. Thanks.
One of the first copiers I spoke to is a guy called Victor Zhang. He's one of the very earliest episodes. And he does some videos about synchronization, desync, get in sync or get out. And he really looks into it. They're worth watching.
All right.
So you think your approach has improved over time? Do you think your current approach is optimal?
No, it's not optimal. I don't feel like I'm in full control in that sense. So it's definitely still a learning journey for me. So I'm still like this part. Wasn't sure which one should be. Like I had the logic. I thought it makes sense, but also what you say makes sense. So I do need to try out. So maybe I'll just split them. The half will have, half don't, and then I'll see how it goes. Obviously, it's not a fair comparison in the sense that they trade different things, but still could be an interesting test.
Well, obviously, nothing that I'm saying is financial advice.
No, obviously.
Do your own research.
No, definitely.
Yeah, don't listen to what I'm saying. Well, I don't know if I have all the answers at all. I'm seeking the answers. That's why I'm making this podcast. I'm trying to gather all the opinions in and work it all out.
No, but also I want to hear different opinions. That way I can adjust my, try something. If I like it, then I can, adopt it.
I just made an episode where I was talking about how to avoid disastrous PI choices. Some of these things, they might just be my specific bugbears, but there's a couple of things I look for. One is if a PI is mentioning in their bio annualized returns or lifetime returns, and then when you check the information, you see these massive outsized gains that contribute to that figure that they're quoting in an outsized fashion. So it's a bit misleading because you're not actually getting that, because in their early years they were leveraging with a couple of $100 or something and they made a couple of 100%, and now they're quoting, over the lifetime I've made 350 or something. Do you look at that kind of detail for things, or do you agree that that's kind of, while factual, it's a bit misleading?
Yeah, I definitely agree with it. I also receive emails from the other platform that I use. They have this trader guy who's like, oh yeah, I am, 15% this year and lifetime 120%. But all that is relative. So if that 15% was in a year when S&P made 20%, then obviously you're not doing that well. You're not even keeping up with the market. And then lifetime, I mean, if you've been 20 years in the business, so then it doesn't sound that impressive. So I think this misleading things, same with marketing in general. Marketing is usually a bit misleading. It might be true, but when you read it, you think something else. So I definitely agree with that. I think it's a big red flag, and at least it annoys me. I don't know if I would go with PI that has something like that. It's already kind of, it's just mistrust already. You just don't trust the person because they are kind of bending the truth.
Yeah, being economical with the truth. It is the truth, but to the unsuspecting, it's a honey trap.
Exactly. If you think that if it misled you to something, then it's definitely almost like deceiving, right? So even if it's true, uh, I don't know. Can we talk political stuff? But what I saw in UK and the Brexit as well. I mean, I don't live there. I don't know, but yeah, printing stuff on your buses and then not, yeah, quoting numbers that then don't exist, or like how does that work?
Yeah, there's no truth left anymore.
No, no. It's a scary world. Yeah.
Truth is relative. Also, I note one of your PIs, Christopher Harrop, beat the markets. He's got his own website. Lots of news about eToro and when new stocks come out and stuff. So if you were to be more active, that's a good way to get to know him.
Oh, thanks for the tip. Yeah, I didn't know.
And you're the second person in succession that I've talked to who copies and is happy with Olivier Danville and his incremental returns.
I think it's steady. I know it's not a lot, but if I want to make bigger risks, at least he can stabilize it a little bit. But I also have a smaller portion of my portfolio with him anyway.
Yes, he is your smallest holding.
Yeah, exactly.
He'd probably appreciate that small number.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about one of your videos now on Sidestream, which talks about the 5 pros and cons of eToro. So the 5 pros, number 1, easy to use and intuitive trading dashboard.
Yeah, definitely. Probably one of the easiest to use. Maybe too easy that you can actually, without knowing, you're spending your money in a way, or investing your money, or speculating on things. But super easy, and I think quite unique feature is the fact that you can copy people.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's incredibly easy to go from a standing start to copying someone. What's less easy is working out all the background information that you need to make those decisions in an informed way, if you ask me. Second pro, copy trading.
Yeah, can't argue there. I think unique feature, and I think there are a couple other platforms that do it, but definitely this is the biggest, and works for me.
Okay, the third pro, the social aspect.
Basically, if you are into it, you can actually keep up with people. You can see their posts, and also you can listen to podcasts like Gavin here has. So I think the community around it is, it's, if you're really into investing, I think it's great. It's, you found your people, and the fact that you can find videos, podcasts, and everything around this platform, I think it just adds value to it.
Fourth point is the eToro Popular Investor Program.
Yeah, and if you're good in investing, then you can also make some money. And while you're investing, you can basically invest for people. And I think for those that are good at it, a perfect way of making some extra cash.
Yeah, there's a conversation going on at the moment now because Robinhood just IPO'd in the States. And I see some people making videos about that and talking about the future in the business of Robinhood. And then I ask the question, what about when eToro arrives in the States? If they can get through all the regulatory hurdles. I was thinking that the investors who are capable on Robinhood will suddenly see that they can do exactly what they do on eToro and get paid for it. Sometimes huge amounts of money.
Yeah.
And the guys who are wannabe investors but are not very good at it and are copying people on YouTube and they don't know when to get out and they're making a mess of it, they'll see copy trading as a viable alternative.
Yeah.
I think if they can get over those hurdles, that'll really test Robinhood's switching moat, will expose them for not having a switching moat. People can do exactly the same things and more and get paid.
No, I agree. The social part of it, and this, that you can actually, if you're good at it, you can make extra money. I think it's good for both. It's good for the PIs because you can then leave your job, so to speak, and become a professional in this. And as a somebody who copies, then you can get better and better guys on the platform that you can copy.
And the final of the 5 pros that you list is all trading in one place.
Yeah, and this platform you can trade anything: commodities, cryptos. I mean, maybe with cryptos the costs are a bit too high, but anyway, the possibility is there. You can do anything, although some of them are CFDs, but there are other platforms that you can do all this, and you can only trade stocks or only trade stocks in US. So I think it's a plus, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm older than the average eToro user, and I've been down the road of investing in mutual funds and having some faceless money manager, not even knowing the person who's making the decisions and all the rest of that. So to go from that to this, for me, is just an incredible change. Suddenly, at my fingertips, I have the ability to control all of this stuff myself. There's minimal fees compared to what I was used to.
Yeah.
And as you say, all of these things are on one platform. And I've just started buying crypto recently because, this is the last great buying opportunity until it goes interstellar. Makes me a fortune.
Exactly.
Not financial advice. And, I can't be bothered, signing up to more things. I understand that it's not the best place for crypto in terms of the fees. And if you're a pure crypto guy, you're unlikely to become an eToro just for that. But if you want a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, it's really excellent.
I think you bring a good point. It's just I can't be bothered. And I think a lot of people, I think when you get to a point where you don't have enough time, you can't be bothered to squeeze every cent out of it. Like, yes, there will be fees. As long as you can still trade profitably, I don't think it's a problem because the fees they're maybe higher than on some platforms, but in the long run, if you trade correctly, they shouldn't matter.
Yeah, it's like going to the supermarket rather than going to individual shops on the high street.
Yeah.
You pop into the butcher's and then the baker and then the candlestick maker.
Yeah.
Whereas the supermarket sells it all. And the quality might be slightly lower or the prices might be not as attractive, but convenience factor. Okay, now let's move on to the cons, some of which you've just touched upon there, but we can talk about them a bit more. The biggest con is higher fees than other platforms.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it, but there are, if you compare with some other platforms, there are quite high fees for certain things. If you keep CFDs for a longer time, you have fees, overnight fees. If you're leveraged, but okay, this is for every platform. There are fees that, they just, there are fees that they just add up.
Yeah, they can add up.
They can add up, yeah.
Yeah. If you're cognizant of it, you can avoid them. Not entirely, but you can certainly minimize them or not get caught with your trousers down.
Yeah.
I'm sure you never get caught with your trousers down, Robert.
I'm always with my trousers down. It's the way I walk around home.
Well, I'm glad the camera is at a high angle.
Exactly.
The second con, changing spread fees. Terms and conditions state that they have the right to change it.
Yeah, apparently with some trades, it depends a little bit, but they fluctuate. So it's not always the same 0.09%, but it might go up and down depending on the market situation. I don't know how in practice this works because, again, these are the kind of costs because I don't have like hundreds of thousands. So the fact that if I pay €1 more for the trade is not going to break my bank. And so I don't really know what this is in practice, but this can happen.
The third con is withdrawal speed.
This hasn't happened to me personally, but I've heard from comments and also read it in some posts that sometimes it takes a week or two to get your money back. And obviously, when you don't see your money on your account in certain days, people get a bit, they get a bit twitchy. So they start complaining. And I think I do believe eToro is a legit company, but maybe sometimes it takes too long to get your money. I don't know why. We also don't know where these people live. Maybe it's harder to get them to certain countries, but this is what I heard. I don't know. Have you heard of anything like this?
Sure, I mean, I've seen the complaints, and we'll come on to another one of those in the cons here, but yeah, there are a lot of inefficiencies that need to be improved. I'm sure the top brass at eToro are very aware of that.
I hope so.
But as we've discussed on a previous episode, so much has been going on in the past year or whatever. First of all, there's a worldwide pandemic and people working from different places, and that affects businesses. You know, not every business is running at maximum efficiency. There are log jams and problems left, right, and center. There was the whole GameStop hoo-ha that caused problems to eToro and everyone like them. They've also been preparing for this SPAC merger and, you know, being listed, and there's a lot of work involved in that. So when I recorded the episode where we discussed all that, I was quite prepared to give them a pass on, you know, letting things slide, maybe because so many things were going on. But, you know, there's less of a reason now. A lot of those things have maybe passed or eased, or they should have become accustomed to them. So certainly some of these efficiencies need to be sorted out.
Definitely would help the reviews as well, just because I feel like every third review is about that the money hasn't arrived or they stole my money, whereas it just takes too long to receive it.
Yeah, and those reviews, when there's a large quantity of them, can be pretty damaging, you would have to think.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah.
Okay, the fourth con is volatility handling. For example, oil. What are you talking about there?
So I think this was in the beginning of pandemic. Oil had a huge dip, right? It went to minus at some point, I think. And basically what happened in eToro, this didn't happen to me, but to my friend, because he wanted to get into oil. So he bought it, let's say, at $7 at that time. Or no, $15 when it was going down. Then it went to 7 and automatically eToro cut the trade. So he couldn't basically do anything about it. He didn't set the stop loss. They cut the trade, and then he couldn't buy it back because the trade was limited. So in that way, he basically lost whatever, half of his money, just because he couldn't get back to market. He was sold before he was supposed to do it. He knew it's going to come back. So in those cases, they have the right to basically. Well, actually, I don't know if they have the right, but they can do this. I think they say same thing happened with Robinhood when the GameStop thing happened. They just cut the trade and people couldn't buy more where they knew it's going to go higher. So these kind of situations, I think platforms like eToro and others, not only eToro that does this, but yeah, they basically limit their own risk and then they stop the trade, which I find really, as an individual investor, it's really, you can't rely on them in these kind of once in a lifetime opportunities, I guess.
And the final con is unresponsive customer service.
Yeah, I heard for some people that they don't get answers from the customer service. Personally, I haven't had a problem. You do need to wait 2-3 days sometimes, and then you get the response. But I've contacted them, I think, 3 times, and they did solve my issue. So it's not the fastest, but I'm definitely, it's okay for me. It's maybe people expect faster answers when they're waiting for their money. For me, I haven't had this problem though. I don't know if you contacted them.
Yeah, I haven't had a problem either.
Yeah.
I'm sure certain people do have legitimate problems with them. I realize that's another inefficiency. But what's also at play here, I think, is people who don't understand the platform, don't understand what a stop loss is, didn't realize they had one. It gets hit. They think eToro's stealing all their money, and they try and get answers immediately from customer service, and they're angry. So each day that there's not a response feels like a week, and they do 5 social media posts a day about how eToro's a scam and customer service just won't get back to me. I think that's at play as well.
Yeah, that's true. And just, I think it's amazing that if you look at any like reviews for any trading platform, they all have the same complaints. And it's hard to use something like Trustpilot to when you're trying to evaluate which platform to use, because they all have like 1 or 2 stars maximum. And I find it interesting. I don't know if they're fake or people, like you said, they're just emotional and they go and write immediately, and if they don't see results, they just they're emotional about it. But I'm sure there are people that genuinely have problems with them, like you said. But then again, you do have with any business, you might have problems. Yeah, there are pros and cons to eToro. If you know the limitations, then you can prepare for them
and act accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you've been on eToro since 2017. We're now 2021. So that's a good stretch of time. I wonder, did it look and feel very different back then? Do you get a sense that it's changed a lot over time?
No, actually, to me, I look at some of the screenshots, they look pretty similar. I mean, there's a couple new menus on the left, but I think the interface itself hasn't changed that much. There are probably some changes, smaller changes, but everything is in pretty much the same place when I started.
I believe there's some changes on the way quite soon. I think I saw Jay Nemesis saying he was trialing a beta version or something, and he's giving some feedback about layout. And I saw another PI, Gasper Soapy, was submitting to eToro some of his UX ideas, because that's the world he comes from.
Yeah.
I told him to make sure that PIs could feature prominently a link to their Copytraders Club conversation. Make sure that's front and center.
Of course, yeah.
That's interesting, though, that you say there hasn't been that many improvements.
Smaller ones, maybe, but big ones, at least I haven't noticed. Maybe they do it very gradually, like Amazon.
Yeah, I definitely know from having spoken to people at eToro that they have a to-do list of things that they know need changing. But as you say, the rollout isn't exactly lightning fast. Maybe that's better. Maybe they don't want to hit people with too big a change at once.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of complaints if it's with every dashboard. If you change it a lot, every time Facebook changes, everybody's everybody's complaining about it. But everybody gets used to it as well later on.
Speaking of complaints, I remember on one of your videos you said that your number one complaint, I think, was a lack of stocks.
Yeah, in that sense, it has changed, I guess. You're right. So the layout hasn't, maybe, but you do have more options now. When I started, I'm not sure if crypto was even an option then, but the amount of stocks you can choose is better. And from what I understand, some of the IPOs even appear quite quickly on the platform. And I think that's where my complaint came back then. But I think that has changed now. Or am I wrong?
Well, you're certainly right that they've added far more stock choices and crypto choices. They're forever doing that. But I also think it's a never-ending complaint. I saw another guy who has a YouTube channel who does some stuff on eToro, and he made a video in the last week saying the number one problem with eToro, guess what it is? They just don't have enough stocks. I don't know when that problem is ever going to go away. There will always be people who get frustrated when they search for a stock and it's not there. It happens to me quite a lot. I look for individual stocks that I may have an interest in outside of eToro. And I wonder to myself, it's a really small cap company. It's very obscure. I bet you that's not on eToro. And it's not. Never is. All right, so final question. If you were in my shoes, what question would you like to have asked yourself that I didn't?
I think just why eToro? I think that didn't come up in terms of like why this platform and not some other one. Maybe it's obvious answers, but yeah, that's what I came up with.
And why don't you hit us with your obvious answers?
Oh, yeah. For me, it definitely was just the copy trading, and it was recommended to me, so it's always easier in that sense. But copy trading is the number one for me.
Okay, Robert Rubeko from Finland. One thing I was going to talk to you about earlier is the Finnish sense of humour. I mentioned in your videos there's humour in everyone, and I'm halfway through listening to you talking about some serious point, and then there's a hilarious cutaway. I know a guy who has a backpacker's place in Laos in Asia, and he's had it for 3 decades or something. He's an old guy, and he has seen thousands of people pass through over the years, and he insists that the people with the best sense of humour are the Finns.
Really? I think it's a very different kind of sense of humor. I think you need to get used to it to actually understand it, because it's not like British or American sense of humor, definitely. So
how would you describe it? Black?
Definitely black. And also, you're not even sure if they're joking. I think that's sort of as a Finnish person, I know when they're joking, but I think when you're not sure what just happened. Like, should I laugh or should I cry? So no, it's definitely something you need to get used to it, and something hopefully my girlfriend has been getting used to already.
Well, we all hope so too.
Yeah.
All right, Robert. Thank you so much. It's been great to chat to you today.
Thanks a lot, Gavin. Really happy to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
It's been our pleasure, Robert.
Thanks.
Robert Rubeko there. Check out his informative and humorous videos using the links in the show notes. Good luck to Robert. As he said, he may have been on the platform a long time, although his passive approach may not be the optimal one. But, horses for courses. Different people want different things from eToro. And, as you know, listener, there are many ways to eat an orange. That's all from me. You can continue the conversation on Discord and Facebook. If you like this podcast and want to see it continue, you can do your part by recommending it to one person or group of people this week. Until next time we meet at Copytraders Club, I wish you many happy returns. Obviously, anything you hear in this podcast is for entertainment only, not financial advice. Do your own research. This is just generic chit-chat. We don't know your individual circumstances, etc., and so forth.